Welcome to RealCast, the weekly roundup of the real asset markets. My name's Richard Betts, and I'm joined this week by Paul Strome, Dan Innes, and special guest Marta Moxa of Coworking 04. Dan, let's start with you. What are the themes you've been following this week?
I'm picking up on your comments last week, Richard. NatWest's plan to sell off its £550 million portfolio of distressed property centre loans. They went on to appoint PwC to explore that. And that loan book apparently has about 25 different assets in it, mainly shopping centres. You'll remember, of course, that's the former Royal Bank of Scotland, RBS, loan book that was bailed out by the government in 2008. They were one of the biggest sellers of non-performing loans, after the financial crisis back then. But this is just kind of one announcement that suggests that we're going to see a raft of new owners coming to the UK shopping centre market in 2021. Chief Exec of Crefsi, Peter Kosmetatos, he says he'll be very surprised if this was the only non-performing loan book brought to market over the coming months. That kind of overall sentiment, that's been echoed by news this week as well from Unibail-Rodamco Westfield. They want to offload their US malls during 2022 when they expect investor appetite to kind of recover. I mean, they're also continuing with their European reset plans, which is meant to complete with the remaining 3.2 billion euros of its 4 billion euro European property disposal strategy. And that's meant to finish by the end of 2022 as well. So you're going to see a very different URW by the end of next year. Meanwhile, elsewhere here in the UK, the Minister, Robert Jenrick, he's faced a bit of pushback from high street businesses over proposed relaxation of rules on the conversion of commercial property to residential. The government here in the UK, they're trying to allow town centres to be converted into housing without planning permission. It could undermine the viability of existing retail if those kind of plans go ahead. And then lastly, to logistics. We've seen investment volumes growing on the back of compelling fundamentals, as well as institutional demand. Supply's been good. This week we saw BlackRock's Heathrow Logistics Park coming to the market for £103 million. The sector just hasn't seen the same constriction in rent collection and covenant strength that other sectors have experienced, like retail. Look at the Tritax Eurobox news this week. In a stock market update, Tritax Eurobox said all rent now due has been collected and that no further waivers or deferrals have been requested.
I noticed as well in the news a number of senior hires there. P3 Logistics Parks hiring Frank Porschka as its new CEO. Also Polish warehouse specialist 7R and Cross Bay hiring Delin Properties Ben Ryan. And Paul, and lots of news as well around the logistics sector.
Logistics is a universal success story, and it was notable this week that in France, France is receiving an increased level of attention in the sector. Prudential subsidiary PGIM Real Estate and Paris-based property management company Alderan have formed a partnership to acquire and manage logistics assets in key locations in France. PGIM aims to enhance the value of the existing portfolio and acquire more platforms and develop new assets. And also fund manager Clarion Partners Europe announced that it is forward funding a warehouse in Boiseau, which is between Orleans and Paris, 46.6 million euros. Clarion said it's invested over 430 million euros in French logistics since 2018 and explained that it reflects its conviction in a market experiencing one of Europe's fastest growing rates of e-commerce penetration. Meanwhile, Amazon's part in the logistics story continues, notably this week in Poland, where the online retailer announced its 10th fulfillment centre is due to open later this year. The announcement underlines the growing penetration of online retail businesses. Amazon is launching a dedicated service for Poland, Amazon.pl, and Amazon has an office also in Warsaw for its web services division, as well as a technology development centre located in the Olivia Business Centre in Gdansk, from whence the Alexa voice-operated virtual assistant was developed. Poland is also receiving attention from corporate nearshoring activities that were previously delegated to third-party operators in Asia and elsewhere. And in anticipation of a wave of demand accelerated by COVID, Poland's Association of Business Service Leaders, ABSL, has produced a report to compare the attractiveness of Poland's cities. 7 cities were evaluated, and Tri-City, the conurbation which comprises Gdansk, Gdynia and Sopot, came top, followed by Poznan and Wrocław. And this also chimes with a recent survey by the European Commission, Perception Survey on the Quality of Life in European Cities. It considers Europe in its entirety and looks at a range of criteria. The results are quite complex and nuanced, quite hard to generalize. But one thing that's noticeable is that second cities tend to do quite well. In the score of citizens' overall satisfaction, a number of non-capital cities scored more highly than their respective capitals, including Glasgow in Scotland, Rennes in France, Malaga in Spain, and actually Gdansk in Poland as well.
Marta, obviously you're based there in Gdansk. There's been a lot of discussion as well around the sort of flexible working. What are the key things that you're seeing?
Coworkings and generally flex offices are in a very strange moment right now. At the same time, they're struggling to survive during these COVID times, as these flexible agreements and flexible approach to the business really is a problem for co-working operators, especially when they don't own a building. So the relationships with landlords are quite crucial right now. And at the same time, everybody says that this is a future of work and flexible solutions will be the most wanted in a year or two. But to be able to provide those services, they have to survive first. So it's a very interesting moment for the whole community of coworkings and the flex offices solutions. Providers who had private offices as an offer, they really thrive and they grow. And those with small communities and only open space solutions and hot desk solutions are really struggling right now. And probably this is the future of coworkings as we can see it. And this is also this paradox that at the same time, lots of coworkings, especially the small ones, really fail and they close their doors forever, probably. And at the same time, the big operators are opening and they're getting more and more square meters. Right now, even in Gdańsk, I think we have 3 major players opening their spaces in Gdańsk, and they are like 1,000, 2,000 square meters. What we can see generally, that are 2 big factors. One is this design private offices thing, and the other that really helps coworkings, which was always the soul of it, is the communities. And we see a lot of solutions that actually the coworkers pay for the coworking spaces, even not using it, if they feel that they're supporting the community itself. And this is quite interesting thing, very uncommon in a real estate business. The other thing that is quite interesting is a niche coworkings and team coworkings. Especially vibe right now is around women entrepreneurship coworkings. This is much more popular. We have a 04 Flow coworking for women actually opened last year. It's a thing right now. What happened last week, the women only coworkings, they went almost bankrupt, but the big player really believed in them and they got another fundraising session. So probably they will survive. But for me, this is a proof that the big players with big money really believe that this is a path, or this is the direction that what coworkings will take. Really providing very sophisticated and very much individualized offer. Our very close partner, Pauline Roussel, visited 250 coworkings all over the world. Try to imagine. And actually in these 250 coworkings, Pauline is showing lots of different approaches from Japan to New York, with coworkings for seniors, for parents with children, lots of different approaches. And I hope it will make some fuss around coworkings generally.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how the view has changed over time around co-working especially. I wanted to also congratulate the ULI award winners this year, Rick Lewis and Marianne Waller. And I was really pleased to see a new award created for Trish Barragan for diversity, equity and inclusion. Thanks very much, Dan. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Marta. Thank you for joining us, and look forward to seeing you next week for our regular roundup of the week in real assets. Thank you.